I just wanted to quickly kind of go back to what Dr. Gabriel was saying earlier about the ignorance, the Christianophobia kind of stemming a lot from people who don't know what Christianity actually stands for, what it's about. In Dr. Yancey's book, and those with Christianophobia, you say in your book, are tend to be well-educated, white, male, and somewhat wealthy. Does that mean that they're ignorant of Christianity? They could be ignorant of Christianity, but still oppose it and reject it?
They may or may not be ignorant of Christianity. Some of them grew up in Christian households, and that's why they don't like Christians. Others live in areas, I mean, believe it or not, there's areas in the United States where you don't run into a lot of conservative Christians. And you can, there's certain subcultures where you hardly ever run into Christians, or if you do, they don't tend to speak up, because you're around a lot of progressive, highly educated, social progressives and that sort of stuff. They didn't be well educated, but our education system doesn't necessarily give you an accurate understanding of Christianity. They're educated in other ways. So they may or may not. That's something I would like to study in the future, hopefully, to know whether or not Christianophobia tends to come more from ignorance or more from being too familiar. But I don't have a direct answer on that right now.
Because that occurred to me as an interesting kind of question. Because when I was kind of studying Acts, there are many. When the early church was just beginning, there were many who perverted the truth. And sometimes I think about this when even engaging with people on social media, on our Instagram page, for example, some people make such strange arguments that it's almost like I suspect them of knowing the truth better than most people, because they would need to know the truth well enough to distort it in such a strong fashion. And so I was like, wow, a lot of anti-Christian people must know Christianity or the Bible really well, or I don't know what to do with that sense.
One thing and research has shown that actually, if you're looking at just like education about what's in the Bible, atheists actually do better than most Christians. Because they're educated. So they know that the Bible has 66 books, and they know from the story, just from an educational point of view, that they know God, but they know about the Bible. And so I suspect that's some of it. But remember, some of these people grew up in Christian homes, and because of their experiences, rejected not only rejected Christianity, but became hateful of Christianity. So there are some that are that way. And so they would be very knowledgeable, not only of the Bible in an educational way, but also of how Christians can teach about the Bible.
No, it's a very interesting dynamics, because on the one hand, I think many sort of critics of Christianity, especially in the West, probably did grow up in Christian homes, and so they do have sort of the fundamental knowledge of what Christianity is about, theoretical knowledge. But of course, that's a whole thing of whether or not they actually do have the experience, the spiritual experience of what it really means to be Christian. And then, and of course, it also depends on the generations as well, because you find that many critics, especially in terms of the younger generation, probably didn't grow up in Christian homes. And so much of the information that they get from basically about Christianity is just stuff that they can get online. And that's why many of the criticisms, it's very much a regurgitation of what is already popular online or things like that. And so, and quite often many of them will basically argue against Christianity based on what Christianity is against. But of course, but if you ask them, okay, what is Christianity for? That's something they will never be able to answer, because that goes into the whole foundation of what the true gospel is about. So that's what I'm saying. But it also depends on the generation. The older generation, in terms of the critics and the older generation, yes. The younger generation, many of them probably have moved away because they grew up say with parents who sort of moved into this whole liberal society and everything else and liberal mindset. Um, and of course, in the East, that's also something different because, especially in many countries that are not Christian, like for example Korea, um, then much of the knowledge that they have about Christianity is quite limited. Most of the people have never even read the Bible, and yet the criticism is simply based on the conduct of certain Christians that are publicized either in media or things like that. And so it's not meta. So basically, the criticism is not on the teachings of Christianity because they don't even know what that is, or even the morality of Christianity, but rather just the conduct of supposed Christians who have, caused some kind of scandals or things like that. So it all depends on different contexts and different situations. So even the responses have to be quite different as well, all depending. So in the West, of course, that's why the study of apologetics is there in terms of teaching people how to properly respond to some of this criticism, especially in the West. But at the same time, in the East, especially in non-Christian countries, you may find that the response to Christian phobia, so to speak, becomes in a way very evangelistic or even mission orientated because most of them haven't even heard much about the Christian gospel or you see so it becomes like an opportunity as well. So it's all depends on the type of criticism, who and why, and of course different approach. This to be sort of custom made.